Hello and welcome to another video on this channel, and this time it's again a gear review and you already see it here on the screen. Today I'm gonna show you the so-called Smoke Ninja, which is a tiny smoke gun or smoke machine you can use, for example, if you do studio photography or product photography. You can create smoke with this device and also some effects called dry ice. Pretty nice. I gave it a quick test, that's why you maybe see a bit smoke in this little room, but I'm gonna show you in a second also. Well, I'm a landscape photographer, so the question is, how would I use it? Because I'm typically not shooting in the studio. That's why the real test I want to do with this tiny device is, can I create fog or atmosphere in a forest, so outside, and can I create enough of it so it shows up in a picture? And this is the test we're gonna do in a few minutes after I show you what's in the box here. So yeah, the box, pretty compact, can put it into your camera bag, and the device, let me check the specs here. So the Smoke Ninja weighs just 260 grams, which is pretty lightweight. You can put it always into your bag because it doesn't weigh it down anymore. You can put it in your pocket, and yeah, that's how tiny it is. So a very compact device. And what's in the box also is the cloud formula. That's the liquid which is used to produce the fog. And on here it says this 100 milliliters bottle here can produce 200 minutes of fog. What this means, we're gonna test, because if you use it, this device, you can, by pressing this button here, create 60 seconds of continuous fog. So if this is for 200 minutes, you can do this 200 times. And we're gonna see later in the forest what 60 seconds of fog means. So how much fog is it really? I don't know yet. So I just did a quick test inside here, and this doesn't really tell me how much fog this device can produce. So I'm also pretty curious. What else do we have? We have some modifiers or adapters, which you can put to the front. So extension tubes basically. Then we have some cables, so charging cable, because down here you see there's an USB-C, which you use to charge the Ninja. There's a battery compartment here with a lithium-ion battery, which you also can remove, but you don't need to, you can just recharge it here. And then also we have here some adapters, which you can put here to the side. Here's with magnets, so if you want to put this device somewhere on some magnetic surface, or here you have an adapter with a screw, so if you want to screw it onto some kind of tripod or extend it from the ceiling, something like that. The most important part here, aside from the Ninja itself, is this one here. That's the capsule, which is used to basically heat up the liquid and produce the smoke. So let's just put it on. So here you first need to remove the cover, which is there to prevent you from touching this capsule because it gets hot. Then you open this up and you need to pull it out, but yeah, that's not possible like this. At least I haven't found a way. What you do is you put it up here on the Smoke Ninja and then screw it on a few times, and then you can remove the cover. So this is how I do it. And then you screw it on firmly, but not too firmly, at least that's what the manual says. So something like that. And here at the top, there's a little cover which you can remove and fill in the liquid, but I already have some liquid in it from the quick test I just did. Then you put the cover on again, and yeah, let's just use this little extension tube, put it at the top, and now let's turn on the Ninja. So here's the button. You have to press 3 times to switch it on. And then you see also here's a little bar indicating the power currently for one charge. So if I continuously press down this button to produce smoke, this bar will go down, and after 30 to 60 seconds, the charge will be empty. You have to give the device a little bit of time to basically recharge, and then you can produce smoke again. So you can't just do this for minutes at a time. You always have to do 1 minute of smoke, then wait until it's recharging and do it again. And we're gonna have to see if this is enough to produce fog in a forest, so outside. In here, it's enough. This room is very tiny. So let's just do it. So here's 3 buttons: fog, dry ice, and smoke. I find fog and smoke are very similar. So smoke is a little less intense, and the dry ice is a nice effect if you want to create some lingering smoke at a surface and maybe place some product or something inside of this atmosphere. Another thing I think, which I want to test in autumn. So unfortunately, I got this device just recently. Autumn's already gone. But if you want to photograph outside with a macro lens, some mushrooms, for example, you can light those mushrooms with little tiny LED lights, and I've seen photos of that. But if you then add also some atmosphere by using the dry ice or fog effect around those mushrooms, I think you can create very dreamy photos, and I can't wait to test it. Unfortunately, I have to wait very long now. But yeah, that's just how it works in nature. You can't just plan like in a studio where I just bring out the products I want to photograph and do it. In nature, you just have to wait until the conditions are right again, which is also why I had to wait a few weeks now to test this. There was too much wind outside, which I don't think is are good conditions to use it. So now let me quickly show you what happens with the fog. I press this button and then you see fog's coming out, and I won't do too much inside of here because in this tiny room you won't see me anymore. Let me switch to dry ice, create a bit of dry ice here. So yeah, pretty nice. Also, the liquid they use doesn't have any smell to it, which is good if you are inside of a room. It doesn't stink. Other than that, now you see also color changed. Let me switch back to fog and now switch it off by clicking, I think, again 3 times. And now I have to put it back into the bag, and we're gonna head outside and do a little test. Also quickly want to show you this device is currently sold by Paragear for 260 euros. And yeah, as I said, or as a disclaimer, I got it from them to test, so I didn't buy it. And yeah, as usual, gonna get an honest review by me just showing you what it can do. So let's head outside now. I'm gonna pack this up. And also here's the thing, if you transport it, you should always, again, remove the capsule and put it inside here, even if you have liquid in it. So you shouldn't have it on the device all the time. At least this is what the little manual says. So I'll do this also, and then outside, gonna put it back on. Okay, so let's go and see how much fog this thing can produce. Okay, so we're now here in my local forest. It's not a place where I would typically take photos, but for this test, I think it's sufficient also today. There's no wind, which is, I think, a requirement for using this device outside. So last days, weeks here in Germany, it was always rain, wind. Not possible to do this test, but today I think is perfect. Also, this would be kind of day where I would bring this. So if it's a windy day, for forest photography already, it's not ideal. For using this device, even less. So yeah, requirement, you have a day without wind and a forest, I'd say, because this is, I think, where you would use this device to create some atmosphere. And we're now gonna do a test. So first of all, there's a little indicator once you switch it on and once you use it, which tells you how much you can produce in one single charge. So think 30 to 60 seconds, you can create fog, and then you have to wait, I mean, maybe 20, 30 seconds to have it recharge, and then you can create fog again. So we want to now see how much fog we can create by me pressing down this button and having this thing blow smoke in the air. And we'll also use this test now to see where the fog's blowing. So usually there's a bit of wind, and we'll now see from which side it's coming. And then for the test, for the photo, you would position this device just outside in the direction where the wind's coming from and have it kind of blow the fog into your scene, and then you could take photos. So yeah, let's just create some fog here. Also gonna move around now. And yeah, this is just to see how much fog you can produce. And later we're gonna see if we position it outside of the scene, how this would look. Because you see also now, directly when it's coming out of this little smoke machine, it's very finely structured and detailed, which wouldn't necessarily look realistic. So fog normally doesn't have so many fine details, so I need a little less structure. And as it blows into this direction, you don't see it now because it's outside of the frame. It has less and less structure. So typically I think for the best effect I have to position this device outside of the frame. Now the charge is also gone and now I have to wait for it to recharge. So my typical use case for this, what I'm thinking is, also now after seeing how much fog it produces, it's not to create a completely foggy woodland scene. That's not possible. It's too tiny and you would likely need the larger brother of this. I think they have a bigger version, but then it wouldn't be as compact. My use case would be on a clear morning in the forest. Once the sun comes up and breaks through the canopy of leaves, you can get some nice sunburst or sunbeams if you have atmosphere in the air. And I would create this atmosphere then with this device and see how it produces light beams. This would be the ideal use in my opinion. And now the question is, then you have to walk through your frame and create the fog. How would you do this? So one option would be using the continuous mode of the camera, have it take photos like every 10 seconds, create some fog, then quickly move out of the frame or overlap many images. This I think would also help with the amount of fog, because especially if you're shooting with a wide angle lens, the area in the frame is too much for this little device. So usually when the fog drifts through the scene, you could then take multiple photos, bring them into Photoshop, overlap them, and have the fog then everywhere by some clever masking. What you can also do, this device comes with a wireless remote, and I think that's a good use now for the second test. Gonna position this now outside of the frame, so just outside on this side, because wind was coming from there. Okay, and now I'm gonna use the remote and create some fog. I also gonna move a bit back, so fog's drifting in front of me. So let's see. And now, sure, Murphy's Law. Now fog's blowing in the other direction. So let's wait a second if we get the wind back, otherwise we have to put the device on this side. Let's see again. Drifting in the wrong direction. Let me get this. I'm just gonna put it somewhere down here. Behind the tree will also work. And now let's see. Okay, so now fog will come drifting through the scene in front of me. I don't have to touch this device. I'm just holding down the remote. And that's a very nice feature, I have to say, for such shoots outside, because you can just hide the little Smoke Ninja outside of the picture, outside of the frame, and have it produce fog. And now again we're gonna do a complete discharge, see how much fog it creates. Now it's also drifting toward the camera. So that's the thing, you can't really direct it if you're outside, because all depends on the wind. Now that's gone. This was one charge again. Now I have to wait like 30 seconds. But I think you now have a very good idea how much fog you can produce with it if you're outside, and see if it could be a use. As I said, I would, when I'm shooting wide angle, so not with like a 100mm lens, I would just have the self timer on the camera, have it take multiple photos, and then have this thing produce fog. And as the fog drifts through the scene, I think I can later bring everything together in Photoshop and still create a scene full of fog. And also can't wait to test this on a sunny morning with some light beams, because as I said, I think this is what this device will be sufficient for, and that's what I'm gonna use it. Also, it's so tiny, that's really nice. I mean, it fits into my pocket, and it definitely doesn't take up much space in my bag. Okay, so let's move back to the office for the final verdict. Okay, so we're now back in the office. You've now seen how much fog this little device can produce if you use it outside. So as I said, typically it's intended for studio use, I think, for example, if you want to have some smoky effect behind your portraits or around your portraits. That's perfect. Also for product photography, it's totally sufficient. So for this use case, I think this is all you need. You don't need a big smoke gun. For outside, it has its limits, but as you've seen, it can produce enough fog for certain situations. For example, if you have a zoom lens, and I'll show you a before and after photo, I was able to completely fog up the frame of the camera. So I'd say if you're zoomed in, this is sufficient to create a nice atmosphere. If you're shooting wider, for example, with a wide angle lens, as I said, it will not be sufficient to produce fog throughout the scene. But this is also not what I would use it for. I would use it to create some atmosphere in the direction where the light's hitting the scene, so maybe to create some light beams. And that's a test which actually has to wait a bit longer, maybe till spring when I actually go out into the forest to take photos again. This is when I will do this additional test. But for now, I hope you found this interesting, saw what this little device can do. Now you can decide for yourself if it's interesting for you or not. Also, I think from Smokegenie, that's the brand, they also have a little bigger version, which is actually called Smoke Genie. So that's the Smoke Ninja, smaller version. Smokegenie, I think it can produce a bit more fog. So maybe also this would be more interesting for outside use. On the other hand, it's bigger, so it's always something to weigh against. So do you want to have something very lightweight, which you can put into your pocket, have with you all the time, or do you want something a little more powerful, which then is also a bit bigger? Yeah, for me, I'm gonna play around with this when I'm actually shooting Woodland, see what it can do, also give you an update. So if I have some photos, I'll show you. And yeah, for now, see you in the next video. Bye.